What's up, my gorgeous friends, and welcome to this version of my podcast. So I have had multiple podcasts over my lifetime, and I have been on YouTube for 20 years. So I just want to start this off by being like, welcome back if you're an OG, and welcome into the fold if you are new. I have not taken my podcast onto YouTube, I guess, because I was like, I don't want to get dressed up or dolled up for all these videos. And then I thought, you know what? I'm just going to show up and see what happens and show up in different ways. And whatever feels good is when I'm going to show up. I'm a manifester in human design. And when I get the urge and the inspiration, that's when I need to show up. However I look. So hopefully, I look half decent most of the time, but whatevs. I'm not worried about it. But I am going to bring my podcast here. So the Tara Kindon audio experience has been on Spotify and is on all your listening platforms, but I haven't been uploading them here because I was like, well, they're all audios, they're not video per se. So we're going to play with some video because this is a video platform. And I love YouTube. Like I said, I've been on here for 10 years, since 2006, which is actually 20 years, which is a little insane. 20 years is a lot. And I got to look back and see when the exact first one was. And if it's not too horrible, I may even link it. I may share it. Who knows? But I just want to start by saying, I haven't disappeared. I've been releasing new moon videos, full moon videos, cosmic insights. But I feel like the work that I'm doing goes so much deeper than just the surface level of like teaching you cosmic stuff, because that's all good and well, but there's just more going on beneath the surface. There's more going on in the inner tide of the emotions and the somatics of the body. And maybe just like wanting to feel like the feelings you're having, you're not the only one having them. There are more people feeling the same thing. And this is what I've noticed a lot. So I've been creating in behind the scenes. There's, I'm sharing those things. I spend a lot of time on Instagram. Honestly, I share in stories a lot and in the pictures, because that's I love beautiful things. But there's something about YouTube that keeps calling me back. And I listen to and I love Minnow Pond Tarot. If you're not following Chris, you need to. He's hilarious. And he's like, this is the year 2026. And I'm like, yeah, he's right. There's something here. There's something to this. So I want to share more about what's going on behind the scenes, because a lot of women are feeling the same way in the clients that I've been working with. And how can I show up more consistently is to give myself permission to show up as is, when I'm inspired and have the energy to do it. That's when I'm going to show up. So that's kind of like what's changing. And being on this platform for this long and actually saying out loud how long that's been feels insane. So it has been a part of my life for a really long time. I've used YouTube in multiple different ways in different seasons. But right now, I feel very clearly that YouTube is where I want to connect with you intentionally from my seaside studio. My fire is out, so I'm freezing my arse off right now, but it's fine. I'm going to put that on and come at you in the seasons when it matters, right? So it's not going to be polished. It's not going to be performative. It's just going to be real conversations and groundedness. So I think we could all use a little bit of that right now. So what is kind of like happening in the world is a little crazy and a little chaotic. And I don't think I'm the only one feeling that. I also know that a lot of you are feeling very similar things. So what's been happening is a lot of waves of insights, inspirations, ideas, like the women who are in my world are feeling very activated and inspired. We have a new moon in Sagittarius happening in a few days, and that is really about the voice. That's about visibility. It's about voice. It's about being clear, speaking your truth. And this could be bubbling up for you. So if it is, perfect. You're in the right time, girl. You are in the right space, and it is moving through people very powerfully. I have a sense that something is shifting so internally that the outer worlds, like our outer worlds, haven't had a chance to catch up yet. So seeing this consistently day after day in readings with clients and wellness sessions with clients and group coaching things, And even the Inner Tide, which is just a place where I drop a daily insight for my clients, I'm hearing back from them, or they're reflecting basically what we're all thinking. I feel this in my body so deeply. Things are bubbling up. People are beginning to be more open to conversations that they haven't been having, truthfully, or they don't know how to have them. It's very open, it's very honest, and we're not trying to package it up anymore. Like this was one of the things. Oh, it needs to be perfect before you put it out. I need to really figure out what I want to say before I say it. I think it's just going to be a hot mess for the next little bit, and that's okay. This is part of why it's important to show up now. It's why using your voice is important. It's why I love giving platform and helping, because I've interviewed people on my podcast, but I've done it audio, not video per se. And I think it's time that some of that shifts up a little bit for me. So I've loved working with the voice for a very long time. I was a professional singer for part of my life. I feel like I've lived 1,000 different lives, but it's always been true for me. I speak truth. I love freedom. I love sovereignty. And these are big things that I stand for other people. But right now it's like, let's go deeper. I want to slow things down a little bit. I want to create some space where we can sit and we can have conversations instead of rushing past them. Be really intentional about the way in which we're sharing space with each other. And YouTube feels like it could be the right place for that. I think they're changing. I think they're evolving. And I think there's some exciting new things that are going to happen because of that. So it's going to allow for nuances. It's going to allow for pauses. It's going to allow for depth. And yeah, I'm not going to edit out my ums. That's facts. So let's have conversations that don't need to be reduced to little sound bites, snippets. And whilst those things are awesome and great, sometimes you want to listen to the whole thing. Sometimes you want to sit down and have a drink and listen, or have a coffee and a tea or whatever. And you want to be fully in it with the person, because the eyes are the gateway to the soul. So when you see someone, you actually feel a deeper connection. And I recognize that. So, the women I've been working with lately are incredibly capable, as are you. They're intuitive. They're thoughtful. They're often the ones that are really holding all of the things together. That's families, businesses, communities. Many of them are kind of standing at this threshold. It's this like new place where they haven't really been before. And all these old ways of kind of like forcing and pushing and trying to figure it out, and multitasking, it's just not working like it once used to. And there's a deep desire to live differently and to lead differently, to be in more alignment, more of their truth, more of their own self-trust, stop pooling the audience for what the audience thinks they should do, but just like this deep intuitive knowing, like hence why I'm doing this video. That's the terrain we're going to explore while you're here with me. So this channel isn't going to be about fixing yourself. It's not going to be about teaching you a bunch of shit you probably won't even use. It's really going to be a place for you to just like come and take a deep breath and like settle in and be like, yeah, girl, I feel that, right? It's going to be, okay, yeah, this is happening for me too. And learning how to work with that energy, learning how to work with those feelings instead of fighting against them. We're going to talk about like nervous system stuff. We're going to talk about intuition. We're going to talk about sensitivities. And we're going to talk about beyond the empathy. We're going to talk about how sometimes certain people, they are built differently. They're not meant to fit into this small little box that we've been, programmed that we belong in. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about creativity and leadership and identity shifts and what happens when women can actually stop overriding themselves or being overridden by other people. That's another thing. I want you to feel grounded here always. I want you to feel like you can be real here always. And I want you to always feel connected to the lived experience. So I'm not going to talk to you from things that I've never experienced. You will legitimately only hear from me about things that I have been through or that my clients are living through. Obviously. mostly the ones who are allowing me to share some of those insights. So I'm going to talk about my podcast in a very I'm going to bring the podcast to you in a very personal way, in a very personal space. We're going to have shorter episodes. Ain't nobody got time for these super long episodes. Like, I don't know, people that do these 2-hour episodes. It's insane for me. We're going to have honest conversation, as we've already talked about. It's important. Honesty, true serum. That's what's coming. And what I'm seeing in real time. This is what's going on in my work, in my own life. It's going on in my clients. And I'm excited. I'm excited to bring this to you. I'm excited this has been 20 years. I'm excited for all the things. And this is a season for us to go in and really get clear on what we want. And then to start talking about it. That's going to be the magic of the whole thing. So the next episode that I do is going to dive into something that I think a lot of women are really ready to hear right now. And it's very attached to why there are so many challenges, because mindset isn't the problem. We're like all this mindset, reset, information, conversation, and there's nervous system conversations. But what we haven't quite bridged is that when your nervous system is a wreck, your mind can't calm down. So that conversation is going to be coming next. And if you've been feeling that inner pull yourself, if you've been noticing that you're sensing something reorganizing within you, or you've been noticing all these wacko, weird ailments that there's no explanation for, or just weird things that are happening to you. You get a little vertigo, you get a little, just almost like you feel like, whoa, this is crazy deja vu. Like, these are not, obviously I'm not a doctor, so I'm not telling you what it is. But I've been seeing this as a pattern, and I'm wondering, maybe you're wondering too, maybe there's something energetically behind this as opposed to something else. So if that's the case, and you may be sick, so you may need to go to your doctor, like, go and do that. We're not trying to circumvent going to get medical help where you need it. But there's also an element here, I think, of some energetic stuff, just like we're clearing out. You keep hearing all these conversations about ascension symptoms, and I'm not going to talk to you about a bunch of horse shit that doesn't make any sense, or I'm not going to hear something and just repeat it without actually embodying it. This will be a place of embodiment. So I personally have had a lot of crazy vertigo stuff. I've had a lot of just feeling of a disorientation, and there's been no reason for it. There's been absolutely no reason for it. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And it's been going on for, and I've been to doctors and all the things. They're like, you're fine. Everything is good. I'm like, okay, well, it's not. But anyway, so the more I've noticed working in the body, adding things like vibration plates and sound healing and all this, it's actually shifted some things energetically for me. So maybe that will be something that will be helpful to you too. So if you're feeling any of these things kind of like beneath the surface that are bubbling, you're not alone. Like, straight up, you're not alone. And you are absolutely in the right place to explore more about, like, what can this mean? What can it look like? What is happening? I want to look forward to these conversations. I hope you're looking forward to these conversations, and I'll see you in the next episode. So that's it. We're going to keep it simple. We're going to keep it short. We're going to keep it punchy, and we're going to get down to the meat and potatoes of the thing. Like, let's get back to basics. Let's start to reframe what the basics even are. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Until next time, I'm signing off. Take care.